Tara Reid posted this, and others have been posting as well. But she says it's telling when after 30 years, the UN director of the New York office of the he's the High Commissioner for Human Rights has resigned due to the genocide by Israel of Palestinians, as the world watches and the U.S. helps. And I just want to read a little paragraph of this. Sorry, the writing's small, but he says, "Dear High Commissioner, this will be my last official communication to you as the director of the New York Office Human Rights." And then he talks about how horrific it is. And at the bottom paragraph, he says, "This is a textbook case of genocide. The European ethno-nationalist settler colonial project in Palestine has entered into its final phase towards the expediting destruction of the last remnants of indigenous Palestinian life in Palestine. What's more, the governments of the US, the UK, and much of Europe are wholly complicit in this horrific assault. Not only are these governments refusing to meet their treaty obligations to ensure respect for the Geneva Conventions, but they are in fact actively arming the assault, providing economic and intelligence support, and giving political and diplomatic cover for Israel's atrocities." That's from Volker Turk, High Commissioner for Human Rights. And he has the Police Wilson, Geneva? Palais Wilson, Geneva. And you don't have to laugh as well. You could just correct and leave it at that. Just leave it at the correction. And he's quitting because I'm sure he obviously raised all these alarms and got nothing back. And the reason he's resigning is because if you stay there, you're basically complicit and signing off on it. Like, the resignation was his only tool left, I'm sure, to make a point as to, we are witnessing genocide and we are standing here and acting like it's not.
Right. And you see this with military that resigns, like military that resigns. Like, I spoke with Matthew Ho, who was a Marine Corps captain and also had worked at the Pentagon, the State Department, and he had a resignation letter where he basically said why he was resigning and that these wars were wrong, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so these resignation letters are oftentimes a way for people not just to share with their higher commands or what have you, their feelings about this, but to also then make that public, to make it public so that people understand there are people inside the system that are leaving because of this, and the system itself is perpetuating this, so that people understand. I think a lot of times, like if you read Obama's book, he was like, he'll be like, well, I didn't want to drop all these bombs, but I kind of had to, because, like just the inertia of the system. It's like, that's bullshit, dude. So I think a lot of times people have this perspective that like, oh, it's not actually people that are pushing this. It absolutely is.
Mm-hmm.
And so these resignation letters also give us that window into places that we think should be standing up to these atrocities. And he actually mentions in the letter other genocides.
Oh, sorry, I pulled it down.
But I was just skimming it while you were reading. But it was a really interesting point that he made, that the Palestinians were not the only people that they had failed in his time working with the UN. And I think that that's really important to highlight, that like we think, oh, well, what did the UN say? It's like, who gives a shit? Because they're not stopping genocide. Not even, I mean, obviously they don't have the capacity to go up against the United States military, but it's like, they're not even standing up against it in ways that they can, So
No.
I think that, I'm glad that people are reposting that.